The people from Hope for Paw Project got a call about a scared, injured dog.
I'm so sorry.
No, I know.
I know. Shh. Hold on. No.
To find the poor boy was a great problem, as the industrial area where he lived was huge. Seeing people, the dog rushed in another direction, and it was rather a challenge for the rescuers to catch it. The dog was fighting fiercely in spite of being badly injured. But when the little one saw a cheeseburger, he realized that it was much tastier than the people's fingers. The rescuers took the pup very carefully to the car and brought it to the hospital. There the doctors cleaned him up and got rid of all his fleas. The x-rays showed that the dog's pelvis was crushed. So the pup had to undergo surgery, and after that was healing for some time. But now he is okay. When a tragic flood happens, not only people suffer and need help. This team of rescuers from Sweden rushed to save the poor dog that was stuck in a destroyed house. They tried to get in through the roof. With the help of hooks and sticks, the people managed to take out the nice black pup. The poor creature had no chances to survive without this help. The dog was really scared, but to the humans that came really in time. The Wildlife SOS rescue team came to the help of a leopard that fell down to the bottom of a 20-foot deep well. First of all, they found a way to let the animal stay afloat temporarily, lowering down the wooden plank. The poor cat was trapped in the water for several hours and was exhausted, and the rescuers had to find a way very quickly until it drowned. They sent down the trap cage. The leopard got into it without hesitation. After some treatment, the beautiful cat was brought back to the wild. If an elephant falls in a pit, it's almost impossible for him to get out. People in Botswana know about this unpleasant thing and try to come to the rescue of these beautiful giants. This time, rescuers found an adult elephant lying helplessly in the hole in the dry ground. They didn't know how long he had been there. The elephant was very tired and aggressive. The people hurried to give the poor animal some water because he was obviously thirsty. The only way to take him out was to make the narrow pit wide, so they widened the walls of the pit with the help of mattocks and spades. They had to work hard and quickly because the elephant was feeling worse. The second part of the operation was to drag the animal out of the hole. Using chains, ropes, and a track, the rescuers managed to do that. It was one more happy ending. Marios was a stray dog found by the members of the pet rescue team who did not want him to pass away in pain. When he was first taken to the center, he could not even stand on his own feet and suffered from numerous diseases. But through great amount of love, care, and medication, it turned him into a much stronger dog. Though being really sick, he was adopted by kind-hearted Christina, who knew it wouldn't last long. He finally had friends, and he was happy. All this was possible only thanks to Diasozo Animal Rescue in Karditsa, Greece. People here do good work of helping animals who are stray, abused, or mistreated. Yes, stray animals are often in danger, and this little kitten was one of them. The people from Rescue Animals TN Center found him and were trying to feed, but it was too scared to come closer. The rescuers gave it something to eat and could catch it. The animal relaxed and didn't even struggle. The people brought it to the center and examined it. It was dirty and had some problems with ears and eyes that badly needed cleaning. The men installed some disinfecting eye drops and gave the creature some medicine. After that, the baby was sent to the place where other kittens saved spent their time. So the poor thing had a chance for a better life. The Blue Cross organization in India day by day save a great amount of animals' lives. This time, they hurled all the efforts for rescuing the cow dropped into the well. The cow was standing in the water helplessly waiting for people's help. Two men went down and tried to tie her with ropes to take her out. It took some time to do this because the cow was really nervous. But at last it calmed down, and the rescuers managed to do their task. The scared animal ran away as soon as the men took the ropes from it. The Hope for Paws rescue team got an emergency call from a scared woman who had suddenly realized that she had been driving for some time with a kitten inside her engine. It was rather difficult task to get to the kitten, as it had to go to a very deep place inside the car. The kitty was extremely scared and was puffing aggressively.
Let's just establish that I'm not afraid of you. It's okay.
It was a great challenge to take it out and not let it run towards the traffic. With the help of people living nearby, the rescuers blocked the way to the road. But the kitten managed to run away and hide under another car. This tiny thing was a real troublemaker. It traveled from one car to another until hiding in the engine of the last car. The rescuers spent 20 minutes waiting for the owner of the car to open the vehicle cover. The naughty kitten was saved. After having a bath, the nice ginger beauty was very happy to stay with his rescuer. In this case, the dog chased the small deer into the lake, and the scared animal was trying to swim across. But the deer wasn't strong enough, so it stopped in the middle and was about to drown. The fisherman Justin Royal rushed to help the poor animal and took it out of the water.
I just rescued a baby deer.
It was exhausted, and Justin came to help it just in time. The poor thing couldn't even stand on its own feet. Getting to the shore, Justin with his girl tried to dry and warm the deer up. Sometime later, the animal felt much better. The rescuers took the little one with them, as they were afraid to leave it alone. The deer was too weak to walk and could become prey of a predator. Justin kept the deer in his garage for some time, and when it could walk, released it into the wild. People from Dog Rescue Channel found this exhausted little pup under the bridge. She was very lonely and wanted some food so much. But to get her out was a real challenge, as the scared little thing was fiercely protecting herself with her sharp teeth. The rescuer could take her in their arms only when he covered her face with the plastic cup. But being in the car, the little pup felt more comfortable, especially when she got some tasty food. The dog rescue team called this nice dog Maggie and took good care of her until her new owner carried her to her forever home. Thanks to such people, a lot of animals now live a happy life full of love. This both sad and funny story happened to the nice husky. This dog couldn't get out of the river and badly needed some help. It was yelping very sadly and did everything he could but failed. The silly thing was that a poor dog should have just done several steps sidewise to get out of its trouble, but it didn't realize that. Besides, the fluffy fool was resisting its salvation as he bit his rescuers every time they came closer. The man did his best to help the poor pup. He was trying, and at last the mission was complete. I always adore people that come to the rescue of an animal without any hesitation. People were walking their dogs along the river when one of them fell into the water. The bank was very abrupt and the pup couldn't get out. The dog was struggling fiercely for his life when the woman rushed to rescue the poor thing. But the pup was too heavy and they couldn't get out of the water together. The man, who was passing by, just undressed and jumped into the water to help them. With great effort, people managed to draw the animal to the place where it was easier to get it out. Thanks to this man, everything was done very quickly, and nobody had injuries. Rescue a dog left in an abandoned house. People often change places, but sometimes they don't want to take their pets with them. So lonely animals are left with abandoned houses. This poor dog was trapped on the roof of the house and couldn't get down. The rescuers from Stray Rescue of St. Louis organization came to set her free. The dog was a bit aggressive and didn't want to let them come closer. Of course, she didn't trust anyone. The place was a complete dump. But the poor cutie had been living there for a long time. Of course, the rescuers took her to their center. The pup was very nice and happy to find kind people that wanted to take care of her. The cute thing didn't spend too much time in the shelter. She found a new family almost at once. When some terrible disasters happen, not only people get in trouble, but animals suffer too. Thankfully, this dog was lucky. When the waters from the overflowing river washed the pup from the stone, it was trying hopelessly to climb the bridge wall, but failed, falling into the water again and again. After that, the clever dog managed to get to the stones near the riverbank, risking being washed away. Fortunately, there was a local man who managed to come closer and took it out of the water. As the rescuer said, he couldn't stand by and watch the desperate animal dying. The dog was taken to the nearest shelter, where it got all the necessary help. In winter, wild animals got into trouble very often. This beautiful wolf was trapped in a freezing river and was about to lose his life when a rescue team got it out of the water. The condition of the creature was so bad that it went unconscious. The people were trying to handle a medical emergency, but they failed. They couldn't bring the wolf round and took the poor animal to the hospital. There, the doctors spent a lot of time and care trying to cure the wolf step by step, but their efforts paid off. The wolf got better at last. It spent some time in the hospital and after a while was set free. How often wild cats pay a visit to some human houses? Fortunately, not too often. The owners of this location weren't lucky enough and had a young leopard get into their house. The team from Wildlife SOS came very quickly and caught the naughty cat. Though it was a rather dangerous task, they managed to do this very quickly. Saving a drowning puppy trapped in sewage. This small creature got into the sewer pipe somehow. He was crying with fear and despair. People from Animal Aid Unlimited in India came to save the poor thing, but he was almost impossible to reach. There was too much water, and he had spent too much time there. But the rescuers didn't give up and tried to get in from another side. When the puppy was taken out, he was in very bad condition and needed urgent help. But firstly, people let its mother comfort him. Luckily, the tests showed that the little boy was okay. People kept him for a while to let him recover, and after that brought him back to his mother. She seemed to be very glad to get her boy back safe and sound. A man rescued a puppy in the street. Sometimes tragedy with animals can happen accidentally just in the street. This poor dog was likely choking on something and couldn't breathe. The tiny creature was laying unconscious and didn't move. For some time, the man was trying to take something out of his mouth and bring the puppy back to life, but he failed. So he decided to take the dog home. There, the man went on trying to rescue the unlucky thing. He even did mouth to make him breathe. At last, he managed to do that. I don't even want to imagine what could have happened if this kind man hadn't come to the dying dog's aid. When some terrible disasters happen, not only people suffer from them, but their pets do as well. Sometimes owners, leaving their houses in a hurry, forget to take their animal friends with them. But the good news is that there are some kind people who can't let the poor things die. On the 14th of September 2018, a great flood came to southwest North Carolina. Some volunteers were performing animal rescues by boat in flooded neighborhoods. They took 2 cats just out of the water and several dogs from the porches of the houses they were staying at. Without them, these creatures would not have had a chance to survive. I don't know how the owners feel after leaving their pets to die, but we hope they are sorry for their behavior. You know that young animals can do some things that hurt them because of curiosity. This little kitten got into an air conditioning vent on the house roof and spent there 2 days. The rescue team from Hope for Paw organization rushed to save him.
That's it. If you catch it by the body, it's a bit hard.
It was a rather difficult task, as the vent was very deep. The rescuers used some fishing equipment to draw the poor thing out. The kitten was really scared and resisted as he could, so people had to use some cover to protect themselves from scratching and biting. He even didn't let them remove the fishing cord, but the little cutie calmed down when they brought him to the hospital. The rescuers managed to take off the cord at least. They washed him, provided medical help he required, and gave a lot of cuddling and love he deserved. Besides, they covered the air conditioning vent on the roof with the net to prevent other animals from getting in there. This team of rescuers from Kenya Wildlife Project had a very serious mission. 3 days before, the grown-up elephant had been seen with a wire on its leg. It was obvious that the elephant had gotten into snare and needed to be released, but the creature suddenly went off air. Luckily that day, the elephant appeared again, and the vet rushed to help the poor animal. The rescuers sent the giant to sleep from a distance, as coming closer to him could be a rather dangerous thing. With a pair of big nippers, they cut the wire. The vet made the necessary injection and the elephant was left alone. After a while, the animal came around and went away. I don't want to even think what could have happened without the people's help. The organization Animal Aid Unlimited in India have helped a great number of animals. They react to every call they get. This time, there was a call about a calf with a bleeding mouth, and they went to the place immediately. When they came to the place, they saw a very small calf with smashed teeth and swollen lips. Everything looked terrible. The rescuers took him to the hospital. There, doctors did almost pinpoint workmanship, stabilizing his jaw. They even brought his mommy to make him feel comfortable. Every day, people from the organization dressed his wounds and made bandages to his jaw. In 2 weeks, everything was okay, and the calf could live a normal life again. But without any help, he would have surely died from starvation. You know Simon Cowell from Wildlife Aid pretty well, and this time he did another great thing. He managed to rescue a tiny fox cub stuck in the fence net in people's backyard. When Simon arrived, he saw a little cutie with his head in the net. It was desperately trying to release, but failed. The foxy was very afraid, and Simon could work only in thick gloves not to be bit with the fox's sharp teeth. When the rescuer was able to cut the net, the fox got very angry. He was crying and biting. The silly fox didn't understand what a big thing Simon had done for it. This unlucky squirrel stuck in the bird feeder. People who found the poor thing couldn't help it because the scared animal was resisting fiercely. The rescuers had to put on thick gloves to be far from the sharp teeth of the terrified squirrel. He took off the bird feeder and cut off the bars. Being released, the fluffy cutie ran away with great speed. This terrible situation happened to the poor 1-year-old leopard in Maharashtra, India. The Wildlife SOS organization found him and brought him to the rescue center. The first checking showed that the forelimbs couldn't move, and there were a lot of serious wounds on his neck. As the specialist thought, the wild animal was hurt by another leopard in the fighting. The doctors were doing their best, trying to bring the young cat to normal life. The vets carried a series of extended medical treatments to do that. After months of therapy, he began to walk again. Oh, those foxes! They are so playful and curious that they get into trouble too often. The people from the video saw the foxy looking terrible and walking in the middle of the road. So they went home and got a cage and some gloves. When they came to the place again, the fox was somehow having a culvert on its neck. They managed to catch the fox rather quickly, as it was very weak and hungry. They took the culvert and brought the creature home. The fox needed some medical help, so the girl consulting the specialist gave the poor thing some necessary medicine. The animal lived in the house of its rescuers for a month while it needed some help. After 1 month, the creature felt much better and even became afraid of the people. So they decided to release the lucky thing. The rescuers from Flatbush Cats channel found this cat in the street. Cats are very good groomers, and the dirty fur of this poor thing meant that the animal was ill or really distressed. The cat had scratches all over its face, as the cat was very eager to be touched and the rescuer that he was abandoned or thrown away. The man gave him some food and brought in his home and carrier. It was obvious that the boy had some fleas and needed medication. Before going to the vet, the rescuer gave him a bath and combed out fleas. The cat was so happy to find a person who would take care of him that he even didn't move while the man was doing this unpleasant job. The doctors healed all his health problems, and Winston, as the rescuers called him, was ready for his new family. This rehab center is the place where a lot of little baby fawns arrive every year. This time, the 1-day-old white-tailed deer fawn was orphaned and badly needed our help. His mother gave the poor creature a birth and then took off. The little one had no chance to survive without people's help. The volunteers in the center fed the orphan with milk and took good care of her. Eating healthy food, the fawn was becoming stronger, and it was just a matter of time before she would be ready to come back to the wild. This poor puppy fell into a deep pit near the garbage dump area. He was desperately looking out of the hole, hoping that kind people would save him. The guys didn't know if they could go inside the entrance, as the entrance of the pit was too narrow. One of them decided to get inside. The dog didn't behave aggressively and let the man take him out of the pit. The men also covered the pit to prevent other animals and humans from getting into this dangerous deep hole. The rescue team helps to save animals in Australia affected by ruinous fires. One of them is a baby kangaroo whose mom is missing. Members of the Humane Society International search the area with great attention and persistence. They don't want to miss out on a single one injured by the fire. They wrap animals in blankets, provide first aid, feed them, and take them to a safer place. Some animals are fortunately fairly easy to approach. Some have burns and require medical assistance. This dog was discovered helpless by a woman in the South Los Angeles. It took a rather long time to find the creature in the area mentioned. When they saw the poor thing, they immediately realized that she was blind. Not to scare the dog, the people let her smell them. For her, it was very difficult to trust. The rescuers called her Fiona and took the dog to the hospital. There, she got good care and all the necessary medical tests. The doctor confirmed that Fiona was totally blind, but he was ready to restore vision in one eye. And he did it. Fiona was extremely excited that she could see again. 3 kittens were abandoned in the rubble. The people from Rescue Kitty Channel came to help, but it was a great challenge to dig them out in all that rotten wood. One of the rescuers had to clear the rubble for some time before it could get to the little kittens. The poor cuties were likely to be hungry for a long time and got very cold, and the rescuers had no idea if they were injured or not. The little creatures turned out to be okay, but really scared. Nobody knew why they had been there and whether their mother was alive or not. The people put them onto the case and gave them milk. They were happy to get some food and calm down a bit. We can imagine what could have happened if the rescuers hadn't found them in time. Numerous volunteers are working in Australia to save the animals living there from devastating fires and their consequences. Many of their homes have been destroyed. Many creatures lost their moms. A lot of them are starving and out of water. Firefighters give water to the animals they find. This man found 2 koalas, mom and her baby, cuddling, and took them to his car to save their lives. Bigger animals, like cows, are in great thirst too. Everyone is doing what he can to help Australia's wonderful and unique wildlife to survive. The rescuers from Hope for Paw Project were driving home when they noticed this injured stray dog limping along the road. On seeing people, he tried to hide in the bushes, but then he went out and desperately asked for people's help. The rescuers took him to the clinic to be examined and have an x-ray. The results received were very sad. The dog had a double fracture in his front leg and the creature needed repair surgery. The dog said that the pup had got his fracture no less than 1 week before. So it's difficult to imagine how hard it had been for the poor dog to survive in these conditions. The pup underwent repair surgery, and the fractured bones were fixed with metal plates and screws. He recovered very quickly after the procedure, and now he's full of joy and finds so much fun in everything he does. On January 11th, 2019, in the evening, one of the houseboats partially sank. The owners were escaping quickly, leaving all their belongings, including their pets. The cat managed to get out, but the Chihuahua got stuck. The next day, 2 scuba divers came to save the owner's belongings and hopefully the dog. Being cold and shivering, the dog was found alive. The loving owners sighed with relief. A cute white rabbit was trapped in a net. There was another rabbit next to him, a black one, free. The little guy was so tangled that it was a rather hard work for the rescuer to release him. At last, the man tore the net and helped the rabbit get out. He soothed it, examined its ears to make sure they were all right. After checking, the man decided to let the bunny go. The rabbit was stressed, but with its freedom back, it hopped towards the bushes. There are a lot of car accidents with dogs. This time, this nice dog got her back legs run over. Animal Aid Unlimited India came to the rescue as usual. They spotted the poor girl in a roadside gutter after, with her hind legs both fractured. Despite her pain, she was the most pleasant and cooperative young pup. The rescuers took her to the hospital where vets splinted and stabilized her legs. After that, she needed about a week of bed rest. With tender love and care, the dog was feeling better and better. After 3 weeks, she could already bear her weight for a short time. And at the end of the 6th week, the cutie was completely recovered. This family found this baby bird on the ground in the yard of their house. The people had a nesting box over the garage, and it obviously fell out of that box. The baby bird was a tiny thing that was sure to come out of the egg not long before. The woman was afraid that it could be seriously hurt. She didn't know how long it had been lying there. The woman tried to warm it up and find some food for the poor birdie. She phoned the vet to check what she should do next. The vet asked the woman not to feed it, just give it some warmth and take it to the hospital to give it the help it needed. The woman drove to the hospital with the chick. There it got a company of little sparrows and had all the necessary help. What do you imagine when you hear the word koala? I'm sure something fluffy and cute, but these nice little things also get into trouble. This one climbed very high upwards in the tree and couldn't get down. The specialists from Koala Ambulance Rescue Organization sent a team to take the animal down. The rescuer had to get extremely high, and it was obviously dangerous. But the koala needed help. It was a very difficult task to catch it. The koala was taken to the hospital to check, and after that was released to the wild. I hope it won't be such a crazy guy again. Stray cats often try to find very secure place to give birth to their children, but sometimes such places can be rather dangerous for their babies. One day, the organization Hope for Paws got a call from a family. The people heard the loud mewing from their attic and called the specialists. It turned out that there was a stray cat with kittens. It was almost impossible to get them out without help, as the attic was very high. The rescuer was risking his life trying to take the little things out, as he had to use a very unfixed construction to get there. But everything was okay, except the mom that ran away. They could catch her a bit later. Thanks to Hope for Paws, lucky Kitty and her cute children got a chance to live a happy life and find a loving family. Not only fish gets on the net, for example, this fox also got on the net, on the football net. His leg got messy, and rescuers from Wildlife Aid came to his side. To free the animal, he was first seized with a special loop. The boy resisted. He did not understand what was happening, but soon he was safely released and taken to the doctor. The veterinarian treated the wound and left the boy for 2 days to recover. A couple of days later, the fox was already released into his native forest. I hope neither he nor the other animal will get into this football net anymore. Wild animals often do need people's help. The field researcher on the Kruger National Park wild dog, Grant Beverly, found a wild dog with snares on its neck. Of course, these snares were put not for this creature, but it was unlucky to get into it. The dog was in terrible condition, and the snares gave it a lot of pain. The rescuers had to send the dog to sleep. When the dog was asleep, the doctors cut off the snares, debrided the wound, and let the animal go. The wild dog got the chance to go on her life in the wild. People from Hope for Paws Project have been on guard for health and well-being of animals in trouble. This time, they got a call about a dog that was seen alone near the highway. The pup didn't let people come closer to him for about 4 months, evading every trap. At last, the rescuers caught him inside the metal fence. Firstly, the dog was too scared, but later the people put a snare on the dog's neck and calmed him down. He even let the rescuers stroke him and went into the cage almost without fighting. Rusty, as they called him, turned out to be a healthy, energetic, and friendly dog. Hope he has found his loving family. The rescue of a dog unable to walk. These people from Animal Aid Unlimited in India did a very precious thing. The poor pup had a very big problem with his pelvis, as it was badly injured, and the little buddy could neither walk nor stand at all. There were no fractures, but his nerves were seriously damaged. So this boy needed a very long psychotherapy period, a lot of love and cuddles. Every day, people were trying to stand him again and again, doing some massage and trying to calm the babe down. So did the pup himself. He was constantly working so hard, trying to make his legs walk. It took the people and the little cutie a month of practice to give him back to normal dog's life. When a stray dog delivers babies, she doesn't have enough safe place to hide her pups. Sometimes street moms find very strange places for that. This one was hiding with her babies under the car. The rescuers from Pet Finder TV found her and took her with all her children to their safe home. At last, they live in a warm and comfortable place and the mom gets enough food. Unfortunately, there are a lot of dogs that have to give birth in the street. I hope that some of them will be lucky like this one. The little pup was born deaf and blind and his mom pushed him away. The poor boy was rescued by Gloria, the director of the veterinary service. If Gloria hadn't found him, he wouldn't have any chance for his good future. The cutie was named Piglet because of his pink color. Gloria found a real family for this baby and has been taking special care of him up to now. Luckily, one of his eyes opened a bit and he can see a little. He lives a happy life with his family and even has a personal Instagram account. Just this one case won't change the world, but it has changed the world for Piglet, the blind and deaf dog. Stray cats run everyday risk of some misfortunes happening, especially when they have babies. The Hope for Paw rescuers got the call about a cat mom with her babies found in a backyard. The owner of the house informed them that some kittens had problems with walking. When the rescuers saw the kittens, she realized that they had cerebellar hypoplasia. This condition is connected with some parts of the brain that not fully formed, and it results in troubles with the coordination. It is caused by some infection of a mother. The kittens were very scared and didn't want to contact with the rescuer. But the woman managed to take them all from the hidden places. She took the mom and her babies to the shelter. Mom was very nervous and reacted aggressively. In the shelter, the kittens were carefully checked, cured, and very soon they were ready for adoption. The people from Animal Rahat saved the life of the cow. It had fallen into the concrete gutter and couldn't get out. The cow was scared and stressed. The cow's owner attempted to free her, but he cut his leg and gave up. The group's animal welfare inspector climbed down into the pit. He gently stroked the cow's nose to calm her down. The man put an industrial harness around her body and attached it to a crane. Being sure that the cow was okay, he gave the signal for the operator to pull her up and out. Finally, the animal was free. The poor thing was taken home, where she had a delicious meal and tender care. When people from Animal Aid Unlimited India found this little thing with a swollen jaw, they realized that the poor girl had lost a lot of weight while suffering from an infection. She was too weak, and the rescuers took her from her mom to the hospital. The girl called Pari was carefully checked. The doctors cleaned her wound and gave her antibiotics. She had a very good response to the treatment course and was feeling better and better. The doctors kept Pari in the hospital for 2 days to finish the antibiotic course. After that, mom and daughter reunited happily. This squirrel glider was found caught on a barbed wire fence. A farmer found the poor guy in very bad condition. She cut off the wires and brought the animal to the rescue center. The possibility to release the thing into the wild depended on the seriousness of the injuries. So, the specialist checked it carefully. The health condition of the squirrel glider was checked every week, and the boy was lucky to recover very quickly and was getting ready to come back to his home. After 6 weeks of therapy, the squirrel glide was released in his natural habitat. There are a lot of stray dogs on the streets of cities and towns, and we can't call their lives easy. This dog had been living in the street until one of the tourists saw her and called the Howl of a Dog organization. Of course, people living nearby had given her some food, but the weather sometimes were rather rough with rainy days, storms, and cold winters. The pup didn't resist when rescuers took her to the veterinary clinic to check her health condition. From the plastic tag on the dog's ear, the rescuers found out that she had been checked and had lived in the streets at least for 6 years. In the clinic, Helen, as the rescuers called her, got all the necessary medical support. In the shelter, she got all the love and care she hadn't had during all her life. Snakes often try to find shelter in the people's houses. Sometimes they are very venomous snakes, and it's very simple to imagine what can happen if that creature won't be taken away from the house. This rescue team came to the village where they had got a call from. The cobra snake hid under the household building where the cattle lived. The stirred cobra was trying to hide, but the experienced rescuers managed to grab it. The most difficult task was to make the creature go into the bag. When the rescuers did this, they took the uninvited guest to the wild and let it go there. The rescuers from Hope for Paws got a call about a kitten in trouble. The creature was stuck in the storm drain under the road. The place turned out to be very messy, and it was a real problem to find the small thing there. The man was sure the kitten was hiding at the end of the long tube and secured the other one with a snare. The kitten was really there but didn't want to come out. At last, one of the rescuers used the pole 36 feet long, but it was too short. He used another one, a longer one, and managed to push him out of the pipe. The woman met the little boy at the other end of the pipe.
It's a boy.
The rescuers brought the lucky kitty to the doctors where he was examined. He was completely okay and ready to see his new family. On Halloween, the Team Big Cat Rescue received a message about an injured bobcat. While the rescuers were on their way, the woman who reported the wounded animal stayed next to her. It was not difficult to catch this poor cat. The animal was badly exhausted. His hind legs were unstable. The exhausted bobcat was brought to the nursery to be weighed and settled in. It turned out he weighed half the norm. He was sent to a hospital for big cats. Rescuers named him Casper. A camera was installed in front of his cell. Now doctors can monitor his condition around the clock. Happily, he could drink and eat by himself. Let's hope Casper really feels better. The rescuers from We Care Project found a pup in terrible condition, which was roaming along the streets of Tijuana, Mexico. The little creature was no more than 6 months old, had some skin disease, and couldn't use his hind legs. His fur was covered with feces and dirt. After examining the poor dog, the rescuers found large wounds on the legs, which seemed to cause his paralysis. The rescuers named the dog TJ, took him from the streets, and brought him to a hospital. There, he got all the medication required, and the unique wheelchair was made for him. TJ became strong enough to walk and even run about the city really fast. He also liked swimming, which he needed for recreation measures and training his hind legs. He even started to walk with the help of them a bit. Love and tender care work like magic. The dog rescue shelter Mladenovac organization in Serbia found a sick dog with 5 puppies. She lived in an abandoned house and got very happy and calm when she saw people approaching. The people took all of them to a shelter. The mom had a severe form of Demodex and had lost a lot of hair. As the mother was ill, the rescuers checked all the puppies. They seemed to have a weaker form of the same illness. On coming to the shelter, the family was immediately washed and treated against their parasites. After a long period of treatment, the mom with the pups were happily adopted. Deer got caught in the batting cage net. 2 Bridgewater police officers saw the poor creature struggling desperately with its trap. Of course, they came to the rescue. The animal was really nervous, so it took about 10 to 15 minutes to help it. They cut off the net and then tried to untangle the deer. This was a really difficult task because of all those antlers and hooves. Feeling it was free, the deer quickly ran away. The rescuers were really satisfied with their good job. People in one office were very disappointed when found out that their coffee machine didn't work, but they were shocked when they saw the reason of that. A fox fell down from a gap in the roof and ended up behind the coffee machine. Simon from Wildlife Aid rushed to solve this difficult situation. On coming to the office, he found a poor young foxy that was really scared. To catch it was a real challenge. At last, he grabbed it and put it in the carrier. Then he took it to the woods, where a happy release happened. This doggy was out of luck with the house. He lived among the tires and was no longer looking or hoping to get help, until people from DAR Animal Rescue took him to their shelter. The poor boy had his ears cut with scissors and he suffered from scabies. In the woman's arms, the dog quickly calmed down and accepted help. He was extremely weak and hungry. He was fed right in the car. When he got to the vet, he received all the necessary treatment. After staying there for several days, he was taken to a shelter. At first, he only wanted to eat and sleep, but after several months, he fully recovered. He became joyful and even found friends among his kind. Soon after, he was adopted by a loving family. Street animals such as cats and dogs suffer the most from winter in the cold. In cold and humidity, animals cannot survive without food. For cats, this time is 6 hours, and for dogs, 17 hours. The municipality of the city of Van in Turkey has decided to make food stations for thousands of stray animals. Various restaurants give away leftover food to provide for these stations. People understand that these animals are part of the ecosystem and sincerely try to help them by giving food and medical care. Veterinarian Robin Azizan said, "The way we take care of these animals is an indicator of the quality and development of our society." We couldn't say better. It is impossible to pass by a little puppy, especially if she is in trouble. This little girl was left locked up for a long time until a person passing by called in the guys from We Save Puppy. It took several hours for her to trust people. The puppy was constantly trembling with fear. But in the end, she was able to trust the person again, and the doctor examined her. This poor baby was covered in fleas and suffered from severe anemia. She was given deworming medicine and washed in a warm bath. The warmth of care and clean water relaxed her well, and after some time, she looked like a real beauty. Now, after half a year, this baby turned into a big and happy dog. Her name is Sandy, and she lives in a new family, and nothing else reminds her of her terrible childhood. The surface of the reservoir is covered with ice and always carries many different dangers for animals. While on the ice, they can easily fall through, as well as slip and fail to get up. This happened with a small deer in the city of Grafton this winter. This baby deer slipped on ice and got stuck to it, even though being close to the shore. Firefighters went on ahead to rescue the poor baby deer. To prevent the animal from panicking, it was decided to approach from the side of the lake. The deer was helped to get out onto the ground, and we can also learn a lesson about the dangers of walking on ice. Manatees are extremely rare animals, and every individual matters a lot. That's why the specialists from Clearwater Marine Aquarium rushed to save a baby manatee that was found alone without his mother nearby. The male manatee calf was about 2 to 3 weeks old. Rescuers carefully took him to the rescue truck and transported him to a rehab center. He was tenderly covered with a towel and splashed with water to prepare for the long journey. The rescuers were constantly feeding and watering the poor baby during the trip, preventing dehydration. After the long trip, the boy was handed off to the rehab center team, and now the little manatee feels quite well. Wild guests often come to the people houses to find some food or drink, and sometimes they get into real trouble. This guy saw a little exhausted chipmunk drowning in his swimming pool. Obviously, the poor thing was in the water for some time and needed help without any delay. The man rushed to the swimming pool with a scoop net.
I got you, buddy. It's okay.
Taken out of the water, the little cutie was not okay for the first time. It was shivering and couldn't go anywhere. But as it is said in the description, everything was all right a little bit later. I really hope this baby wouldn't get into trouble again. There is a lot of trash in seas and oceans. Marine animals suffer greatly from this, eating plastic bags and other stuff. This little sea creature was found floating and struggling to dive. Sea turtles often mistake plastic bags, balloons, and other trash for jellyfish or squid. The problem is that sea turtles can't stop if they start swallowing. So they may become sick, or even something worse can happen. And this little guy had eaten a balloon and couldn't dive. When doctors took the balloon out, the little boy had to stay on rehabilitation for 2 months. But after that, he was okay and was released to the wild. That day, a man and a woman were having a boat trip with their 18-month-old daughter. Suddenly, the pair saw a dolphin in the shallow waters of the sandbar. It was exhausted and distressed, being trapped in the bushy seaweed. The dolphin almost didn't move, losing the hope to survive. He didn't resist when the man was carefully pushing it through the seaweed to the deeper waters where he could find the way out. For the first time, the animal was completely disoriented, but later he felt more assured and headed to the open waters. I just can imagine what could have happened to this beautiful marine animal if these people hadn't helped him. There is one more marine animal that got in trouble. A gorgeous 4 or 5 ton orca became trapped in the rocks on the British Columbia coastline. It was the tide to blame. The rescuers couldn't bring the orca to the water without hurting the animal, but they wanted to help. So, people worked for almost 8 hours to keep the orca wet until the tide came back in. They were constantly wetting her down to cool and avoid dehydration of the black and white beauty. At last, water began to rise.
Yes! Oh my God.
There was a great sigh of relief when people saw the animal could get out of the rock and swam away. You are sure to hear that sometimes dolphins jump out on the shore. This nice fellow did the same. But lucky for him, there were people on the beach that hurried to help the poor dolphin. The man took the animal's tail and drew it to the deeper water. They were watching the dolphin for some time to make sure it swam off far away. They didn't want this marine beauty to get in trouble again. The team from Vancouver Aquarium's Marine Mammal Rescue Center spend their time saving marine animals. This time, they had a massive male stellar sea lion tangled in plastic packing. The rescuers saw the poor guy in the water. The animal was lying helplessly on the waves and couldn't even move. It wasn't a really difficult task to release it, but without people's help, it couldn't get free. The seal happily got back to the place where other seals were having a rest. Little sea otter pups are completely dependent on their mothers, and if a big storm comes, it often parts the poor babies from their moms, putting their lives under great threat. This little pup was mournfully crying, laying alone on the water's surface. The people from the Monterey Bay Aquarium took him into the boat and firstly tried to reunite him with his mom. But they didn't find her and had to take care of a baby by themselves. Every day, the rescuers had to do all the necessary stuff that other mom did with her children. And they never touched it with bare hands not to let the poor little thing have a bond with humans. After 2 months of intensive care, the rescuers let the grown-up otters living in the aquarium to step in. They would teach the cub all the stuff needed to survive in wild nature. A poor humpback whale was stranded on one of the coasts in East China. The rescuers were trying to help it to keep track of the animal's normal temperature with water poured on its back. After 5 hours of intensive efforts, the people managed to drag the marine giant back to the sea. The creature felt quite good and went on its way. Soon after the new year, 2020, hundreds of people living near the seacoast of New Zealand were busy trying to save whales. All people were touched by the situation with huge beasts thrown at the seacoast. They were working non-stop, digging, looking for water, and trying to find ways to help them. After hours of work, they sent the whales back to the sea by cries of happiness. That's the example of big hearts together. When several people come together with good intentions, no one could imagine how much kindness they can do. Sometimes even dangerous animals able to kill people sometimes get into trouble. Having a big heart means being ready to help anyone who is in danger. It looks unbelievable, but even huge beasts like a whale shark may get in danger. 2 divers spent hours trying to help a big shark to break free. It had a string tied up around its body, and cutting it was a really big help for the marine creature. It had been having this string for a long time, as there were some wounds on the shark's skin. Soon after the salvation, the shark swam back to the sea. It would definitely say thank you to people if it could. But even without these words, rescuers should know that they had done something very nice and important for the human being. The young sea turtle was caught near the Kitty seawall in Guyana. These turtles come close to the shore to nest and sometimes get tangled in nets. The rescuers brought her to the beach, checked its health condition and buoyancy. Then it was tagged and took out to the sea beyond the fishing nets. It was a happy ending for this creature. The people from Wildlife Aid Project saved numerous orphaned and abandoned fox cubs. Without their help, the little ones wouldn't have any chance for survival. Some of them get to the center being very young, and not even capable enough of eating by themselves. They grow in the center, and when they are old enough to live alone, the rescuers release them back into the wild. This time, several grown-up foxes were ready to start their new life in the forest. The people took them in the cases and left them in open spaces to get used to different sounds, smells, and creatures they would meet being free. Sometime later, the cages were opened, and the foxes left the environment which had been their home for many months. The specialists from Wildlife Aid hope that the animals will have a great life. On the journey around Mosi Oatunya National Park, the tourist guide with his company found a zebra which was badly trapped in a wire snare. These snares are put up by poachers to catch animals, and this zebra was lucky because people spotted it. The rescue team came very quickly. They put a branch over the zebra's neck to prevent the animal from struggling too much and injuring himself, and started freeing the leg from the snare. When everything was finished, the animal didn't realize at once that he was released, but at last it got up and ran away in an unknown direction. It was a lucky chance for the striped thing. The rescuers from Megabaddy Project has found a baby flying fox. It was 6 or 7 weeks old and was sitting alone at the time. The little beast turned out to be a boy and was very scared and crying bitterly.
Yeah, it's just a baby.
But the new mama gave him a teddy and a bit of apple juice, and he calmed down. At home, she made all the necessary measurements and treatment. It's interesting that these animals are used to sucking something, and a new mama gave it a piece of rubber. You know, having these animals in the cage is not the best idea. So the woman took the baby to the special kindergarten for bats, where he got all the necessary health care. There, the baby will be raised until he's old enough and ready for release in about 3 months. After that, he will go into a special place, where he will join other orphans and form a group. There, they all together will learn how to live in a batty society. Sometimes the weather creates a lot of problems for us, but storms and hurricanes can change not only the life of humans, but also the lives of animals. This little bird was found on the ground after a stormy night. The nest was there too. It obviously fell from the tree during bad weather. The man took the nest from the ground and examined the poor feathered creature. The bird was covered with ants all over and was a bit frustrated. The man cleared it of all this stuff and looked into the nest. There were 2 tiny eggs in it. He decided to make another nest for the unlucky future mom. He put the bird with her eggs in a bowl and decided to take care of the family until they were okay. Hope the situation finished successfully. Snakes also have to deal with human presence, and sometimes they have a lot of troubles with it. They often come to houses and sometimes hide in vehicles. This one was hiding under a car dashboard of the car when the people from Rosso Ovidio channel came to rescue the reptile. It was a really difficult task to release the tricky thing without hurting it. Of course, the creature didn't like being disturbed and was struggling actively. But the rescuers did their work very well, and the snake was safe and sound. Yes, wildlife needs our help no less than stray cats and dogs. The rescuers from Wildlife Aid spent all their time trying to save as many animals as possible, trying to come forward to any call. This time Simon, Lowry, and Isiline tried to locate and free a female mallard from an elastic band trapped around her mouth. Arriving to the place, they saw a duck hiding in the fell tree. It wasn't too hard to locate the bird, but to rescue it was a real challenge. Of course, the mallard had no inclination to let the people get closer, but Lowry succeeded in taking the duck in from the thick green leaves and branches. The poor bird got the band everywhere, even inside its mouth. At last, the mallard was set free from her trap and got released. People from Southwest Wildlife Foundation of Utah found this young bald eagle near the nesting area. The eagle was not flying and very skinny. The rescuers saw that it was quite the rare white-bellied bald eagle. Because of poor nutrition, the eagle's feathers were in very bad condition. The eagle lost all the feathers needed to keep the bird in the air, and it was unable to fly and hunt. The bird was so weak that it couldn't eat and drink by itself. The rescuers supposed that the bird stopped feeding it, and maybe the bird even did not fly at all. After staying in the center for some time, the feathers started growing. But this guy had to stay in the center for a long time until it will be strong enough to make his first flight. The Wildlife Aid team got a call about a heron that got trapped in the net that covered the pond. It was trying to catch something in the water, but was caught itself. The rescuers couldn't understand for the first time if it was injured or not. Heron spent too much time upside down and was very frustrated when the rescuer managed to release it. Happily, the bird wasn't seriously hurt, but it was too weak to stand. So the team took it to their center to give it some rest. In a few days, the rescuers set the healthy heron free. This owl was hit by the car and had almost no chance to stay alive unless the bystander took it off the road and out of the traffic's way. The man that lived near found the poor thing hiking through the woods. The bird was in a very poor condition, having a broken leg and a broken wing. He took the injured bird into his house, put it into the cage, and brought it to a rehabilitation center for birds of prey. The owl was rather calm and didn't resist the rescuer's action. Maybe it realized that he wanted to help. As the doctor said, the owl had been obviously flew across the road and smashed into the car. In spite of serious injuries, there was a good chance for the bird to recover. Let's hope for the best. This man saw a neighbor's cat taking the little birdie in his mouth. Happily, the fluffy hunter didn't want to eat, so the man made up his mind to help the little creature. It was just a chickadee hatchling, almost without good feathers and with eyes closed. The man called him Pete and started nursing the chick. He had to feed it every hour to help the poor thing to get strong enough to survive after such a terrible misfortune. But it didn't open its beak and was very cold. The rescuer warmed the poor thing with his breath and after that made a simple incubator for it. The bird refused to eat again. The man didn't know what to do, and one crazy idea came to his mind. He came to the nest where the chick had been supposed to fall out from and recorded the sounds of the chick's mom. He played the sound near the chickadee hatchling and it started to eat. The little chick felt better and better, demanding more and more food. Time passed and Pete turned into a cute grown-up chickadee. Now it looks so nice and happy to be saved from cat's teeth. An adult female gray-headed flying fox got her thumb stuck between palings and a fence. The poor cutie struggled so fiercely she broke her thumb, leaving the tip hanging off by a thread. The rescuer from Mega Batty Project came to save the little one. It was very scared and didn't want the woman to approach. The flying fox needed some medical help and was very thirsty. It turned out that the girl was pregnant, and the rescuer hoped the trouble that had happened to her wouldn't harm her baby. The flying foxes and bats get stuck in fences very often, and their well-being depends on the care they get. That's all for today. All these stories make me feel emotional and grateful for the kind people in this world. What about you? What do you feel after watching these stories? Share in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you!